Hello, hello.
Hi, welcome to the Raise Your Vibe
Zoom
party.
party.
Woo.
Thank you so much for coming to hang out. Tonight we're going to be talking to you guys all about how to raise your vibe. So I know that sounds like a little bit weird, like what the hell is vibe? I don't know, you might have heard it before, but it's part of our lingo now, so we don't really bat an eye to this kind of stuff anymore. But for those who are kind of new to what the hell vibe is, or what are you referring to, I'm sure you've heard it before. What's your, but basically it's your vibration, it's your frequency, right? So essentially we are all, energetic beings. And just to give you sort of like a little background of like what this means, right? So we're all energetic 3D beings. Not energetic 3D beings. We're all energetic beings. Okay. Sorry, I'm like
we're
tongue-tied.
more than just 3D beings. Yes. Is what we're trying to say.
Yes. Except I'm like saying it wrong.
Because even science has proven like they're saying that now that that science is moving out of just the 3D realm. Mm-hmm. We're going to make more progress than we've ever made in science within a decade.
Yeah, because we're allowing ourselves to go kind of explore outside of that physical. Sorry, let me just turn off the music. That was distracting. So there's, the whole metaphysics and all of that, which is starting to explore stuff outside of what we're used to, right? The typical science that we're used to, that's kind of, the science we're used to basically explores only what we see, the physical, the 3D, right? Whereas there's new science that's, out there measuring energy, measuring all kinds of things like force and all of that, looking at you from your smallest particle all the way out into like the universe and how we all fit together, our consciousness. It's really kind of interesting stuff. So what we kind of wanted to get into your mind tonight is the fact that you're more than just a 3D flesh and blood person, okay? I think we're raised to kind of feel like this is all we are. We're just these physical beings. But, think about where your consciousness is, right? Like your thoughts, your emotions. Yeah. Think about, like, that's not 3D. You can't touch that. You can't, smell it or taste it, right? But it's still there. Like, you're still thinking, I'm still talking, and my brain's still working, and I still have consciousness, right? So, that stuff, basically where that stuff sits is in another dimension, okay? And you are a multidimensional being at the end of the day, okay? So, and you're also an eternal being.
Yeah, you're an eternal being because you've lived many past lives before you came here. We all have. And basically, we don't really remember where we were, and that's valid. Like, there's a reason that we don't remember it is because when we came to be today to this earth, like when we were reborn, like when we were born, we basically wiped out all of our past lives, and it might still be a little bit stuck in some ways, like with our soul, but in reality, it would have confused us if we just kept living that same life and we didn't have like a refresh. So that's how your soul really is gonna learn and evolve. Right. Is that it's already like evolved from the previous life, and then it comes like a clean slate again to the new one.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just saying, should we put ourselves so that people can see us? Because I don't think they can. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, a little bit technical.
No, they can't. It's just on the screen right now. How do we share? Sorry, guys. Pause for a second.
No, I'm just gonna.
Oh, that's weird. So is it just showing? No, it's just showing Shantae now. That's really weird. Huh. How do we make it share? Sorry, guys. We're just trying to figure this out.
Yeah, because we're not sharing the screen anymore.
No, it's just sharing like that, which is really weird. But it should show us. This is what I'm saying. There we go. Can you see us? Yay! Yeah, we can see us. That's why we thought you could see us too. So anyways, back to what Shima was saying. You come here with a clean slate. You've lived multiple lives, okay? You're an eternal being. And you're part of this thing called source energy. Okay. And basically what happens is you live these lives and then you die, you croak, as Abraham Hicks would call it. And, it's not that scary of an experience, because when you die, you actually go into this like heaven-like state, so that's why they call it heaven. But it's kind of different than that. It's a little bit more like just this ultimate well-being, joyful happiness type of energy.
Yeah. That flows through us.
Yeah. But so when
source.
you're not in this 3D realm, basically you're in this kind of like energetic space, right? You turn into pure energy, and you become part of that. Okay. And ultimately you decide, before you come back into the body, like a little baby's body, you decide that you want to come back because you're excited, because you want to be able to create a new life, right? And be part of a new experience and learn new lessons, so that your soul can continue to learn on its journey, right? And the thing is, that might sound scary, right? Going in clean slate, not having any memories, not really knowing who you are, what you're about. But you knew before you came in that you would be guided, okay? And you're guided by something called your emotional guidance system, right? And so everything we're talking about tonight, it's all law of attraction based information, and some other stuff that we sprinkle in here and there. But hey, to whoever is joining.
We have some chat going on. So Shanta says, hey, I'll be watching you guys way better. She doesn't want to show her face.
That's so interesting.
We have Lauren Malley. Hi, Lauren.
No, it's not Lauren. It's Jackie.
Oh, it's Jackie. She said my profile is showing my client's name is Jackie. All right.
Well, I know both of you
Jackie.
guys, Jackie and Laureen, so that's kind of funny. Well, hi to Jackie, if that's who's hanging out with us. Good to see you. So yeah, we were just basically talking about giving you that background of like who you are, right? So again, you're not just this 3D flesh and blood. You're so much more than that. You have that soul, right? And you have that connection to source energy. And before you came into this physical body, into this new reality, excited to be able to be on that leading edge and be able to create your own reality, you knew that you could before you came in, right? You knew that you would be supported by your emotional guidance system and all of that. So we'll get into that in a minute, but what happened, right? What happened from the time you were a baby to kind of now, where you're just like, oh, life sucks, like nothing seems to be working out for me. I can't create my own reality. What the hell are these bitches talking about? Yeah. Like, I don't have control over anything, right? So essentially what happened is that you were raised in an environment, right? We all are raised in different environments, but you might have been raised in an environment that, where other people impose their belief systems on you, right? They impose sort of what they thought, their values, all of that. And then that started to mold you into the person you are today, right? So that's why when we talk to you guys or teach you guys about things, we tell you to look back to the core of the issue, core of the feeling, the emotion, because a lot of times your deep rooted fears or other emotions, they all come from something usually in your childhood, right? So, for example, if you grew up, this is just an example that is pretty common, but if you grew up in a family where you're kind of poor, right? And your mom always used to say to you, money doesn't grow on trees, you can't get everything you want. It doesn't work like that. You got to work hard, da, 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 da. And she instilled that belief system. Today, as an adult, you probably are thinking that same thing, right? Like, money doesn't grow on trees. It's not going to come easily to me. I got to work so hard for this. Like, it's not something that's available to me, right? So you start to kind of adopt that belief system. And then because of that belief system, that's the frequency you're on, right? You're in this frequency of like, money's not going to come to me easily, right? And then there's the other example, like cancer. Maybe we can talk about that a little bit.
Like let's say like somebody's grandmother had cancer. Is it your grandmother?
My grandmother, yes. Cancer. Sorry.
Yeah. So even like Brooke's story, yeah. And just like having that feeling around cancer, okay, it's in our family, and like being accustomed to it, like,
and like statistics and all of that.
It's gonna happen to you. It's the genes. Puts you in that kind of vibration that you put your focus on something that you don't want.
and you just start to believe that, okay, I guess I'm going to get cancer too. And the thing is, when if you believe that, that's what's probably going to happen to you, right? And the other thing is, so it's not just in our immediate environment, like our parents, it's also just like our cultural environment. It's things like even science and stuff, right? Like statistics, right? If you see statistics that say, oh, there's a 50% chance you're going to get cancer and you're going to die, well, you'll probably start believing that, or some people will anyway. And then you have to realize that if you even believe that in the slightest, you're going to start attracting that to you. And then you're just going to reaffirm your belief, right?
So it works, this whole law of attraction thing, it really works both ways, right? So obviously whatever you focus on, you bring about. So even if you're focusing on the things you don't want, then that's what you're going to get more. Just a natural law. So if you if you're always like, oh, I don't want to be poor, then you're just thinking of that vibration of poor.
Yeah. And that's a big key takeaway that we want you guys to walk away with, is that there's no such thing as exclusion when it comes to universal language, right? And what I mean by that is, when you, and we'll talk more about your emotions in a minute, but when you put it out there like, okay, I don't want debt, I don't want weight, the universe doesn't really know doesn't hear you say, I don't want, okay? All it hears you say, or feels you say, more importantly, is you feeling or thinking about your weight or your debt. So because you're in that vibration of thinking about your debt, even though you're saying, I don't want it, the universe doesn't understand exclusions or I don't want it. It doesn't speak in English or any other language. It speaks in feelings and emotions and thoughts, right? Because your thoughts are emitting that vibration. So we're actually going to show you guys a chart. Let's see if we can share the page. This is a really cool graph or diagram. Let's see how we can go here. Give us 2 seconds. There we go. Okay, do you guys see this? So this right here is called the emotional guidance scale. Okay, and this is again based on law of attraction stuff. And so at the end of the day, while we might have this wide range of emotions, there's really only 2 emotions, okay, according to source, energy, the universe, all of that. There's either good emotions or there's bad ones, right? There's good ones that are moving you towards something, towards things you want, and then there's the negative ones that are kind of that downward spiral, taking you away from attracting the things you don't want, all of that, right? So if you guys look at this, you can see,
like, there's 2 sides of the diagram. So the one side is the downward spiral and then upward spiral. And this is all like in order of the emotions that you go through. Starting on the right at the bottom, going up, and then to on the
continuing upward
the upward spiral.
So obviously you can see here that at the very bottom of the emotional scale, we have things like fear, depression, grief, that kind of victimhood thing, right? And if any of you guys have ever suffered from depression like we have, you know that is basically the lowest of the low. That's like, hey.
Oh, who's that? Hello.
So cute. Hi, cutie pie. So yeah, you know that depression is really the lowest of the low, right? Like you just feel like crap. So, hold on, I'm just checking something here. Why does it show us twice? That's weird. Anyways.
Yeah, so it's important, like, if you're to note that if you're feeling one of the lower emotions down here, like moving up here, these are all like the lower emotions. It's really impossible for you to go from like depression and jump to joy and knowledge and empowerment and freedom, like all the way to the very top.
Yeah, it's essentially impossible.
You don't go from depressed to joyful, like just like that.
Yeah, and we want you to kind of look at this as if like you're climbing the ladder. So, even just right now, take a second or a minute while we're talking and just really check in with yourself and how you're feeling, right? And you could be feeling different things at different times of the day. Like maybe today you had a little bout of jealousy, like you were looking at somebody and you we're jealous of the money they're making or the relationship they have or the job they have, the promotion they got or whatever, right?
So what are one of these emotions, that you even felt just today or
yeah,
in very recently? Was it like like you said, jealousy, or is it insecurity, or you feel guilty about something? Is it that you're angry or you're lashing out? Are you placing blame or judgment? You're constantly worrying. Like, what is that one emotion that's sticking out to you the most right now?
Yeah. And again, like, you don't usually sit in these emotions all day long. Sometimes you can go from feeling like really good and then all of a sudden have like a few moments. But our goal tonight is to really get you guys to start focusing on your emotions and to be checking in and to use it kind of like a GPS. Okay. At the end of the day, whatever emotional frequency you're in, so if you look at the chart, if you're in the emotional frequency of, let's say, jealousy and all of that, you're going to be attracting more things to make you jealous. Ultimately, you're going to be attracting more negative experiences and more negative sort of circumstances around you.
Back to that whole law of attraction.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like attracts like, right? You like this chart. Hey, little man. So cute. I know, it's kind of cool, eh? Like, I like the visual of it.
That's not his dog.
Right? So, yeah, if there's, you can share this chart for sure. You can even type it in. Jackie, you can go into, you just type in emotional guidance scale on Google and you'll be able to see there's different versions of it. So it's, I don't know, I love it. There's
what's interesting, like if you're feeling angry, you're better off than feeling depressed. Like, you're already like 2 steps ahead. So don't feel like someone's telling you, oh, it's so horrible that you're angry and they want you to be back down, depressed. Then no, you're actually in a better state vibrationally than you were when you were depressed or thinking of even hopeless.
And then we've had people that we've talked to, who are suicidal and all of that, right? So the idea here is to be able to climb this ladder. Okay, and like we said, you can't jump from the 22 point, level 22, let's say, to level 1. You can't do that. It's impossible, right? From an emotional, you have to acclimate yourself. And if you do jump, I don't really think there's any evidence of anybody ever doing that. But if you do jump, I think your body just wouldn't be able to handle it from an energetic standpoint. But the idea is to at least slowly climb the ladder, reach for a better feeling, a better thought, something that just can get you out of whatever you're feeling, right? So, for example, like Shima said, anger is higher up on the scale, okay? If you think about it, right? Depression, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but even grief and fear and all of that, it's just very like
inward,
disempowering, inward, shitty
battle inside you. Like, you don't even express it. You're just holding it all.
It's all this inward.
Well, at least anger, you're expressing it
and you're moving the emotions through.
So you're better off, with being angry.
But like Shima said, many people, even therapists, right, which is kind of not the right thing to do, but they will guide you to not be angry, to hold in your anger, to try to be less angry, whatever. They almost want you to go back to that depressive state. Why? Because it's better for them, because you're not attacking them or you're not attacking outwardly to anybody else, right? The only thing is, if these people only knew that anger feels better than depression, and so I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but it just feels that much better just to be angry about something and to have emotion about it, right? So if they knew that about you, that you know what, yes, I might be angry now, but this feels better than what I was. It feels better than being suicidal, right? They would be more accepting. And if they also knew that you don't plan on staying angry forever, you are actually trying to move up the scale, then they would be more understanding. But the problem is, most people, they don't like to see you kind of angry, so they'll try to encourage you to hide your emotions and then go back down, right?
And that's why it's so important to realize where you stand on this emotional scale. Once you recognize, okay, like, this is what I was feeling today, then you can also recognize, okay, that's the frequency that I'm emitting out there into the world. And that frequency is what will attract the like frequency to it.
Anger is so much better. I feel you're experiencing worse before. I can't hear Shima right now.
Am I too quiet?
Is it because she's too quiet, or
Because
just
my
can't hear
voice
her?
is probably low all the time. Speak
I
loud.
can hear you. I mean, you're sitting right beside you, beside me. But yeah,
let me know if you guys can't hear me.
Yeah.
We're both together.
But yeah, like you said, so whatever the frequency you're holding on to is what you're attracting. So if you're attracting shitty circumstances in your life,
you're just gonna find more evidence of that shitty circumstance.
yeah, and well, if you're emitting that, right, like
Yeah.
whatever frequency. So they've actually measured these frequencies, and there's different levels to it, right? So low vibe energy actually emits like a low vibration, and higher vibe energy on the other side, you can see it emits a higher vibration. So whatever it is, I can hear her now, but it wasn't there. Okay, awesome. But yeah, so like you said, you'll just attract more
Shante
evidence
asked
of it.
us where on this chart we fall today. That's a good question. She's like, what is okay, so I can tell you for me, I do feel like I'm like at the top scale right now. Not to say that I'm never like any lower frequencies, because like in around September, I think it was, like I feel like I fell from like up here, like all the way down there, but it was just like this transformation that I was going through. But then I was able to lift myself back up and like jump back again. But I do remember going through, like in the last 18 months, going to a period where I was like from bored. I started from bored, and then I remember going back to a period when I was just content, and then I was started to feel really hopeful and excited about something, about what we're doing and what our dreams are. And then I started to feel more optimistic on a daily level. And then I was like very enthusiastic about what I was doing.
Yeah.
So when I lived in that place of passion is really when it brought me to that higher vibration of just being in a good place where I think I am now. And gratitude is like,
she's struggling to hear you again. Okay. Well, hopefully other people let us know if you can hear. But yeah, gratitude is the key to helping you with that, right? Yeah.
Is this one on mute?
Yeah. Yeah. I heard the first part. Oh.
Strange.
Yeah, that's weird.
Check that after. But
yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I feel. Like I feel like I did go through like this ladder slowly from, like a very bad state, but to get to that joy, like feeling more empowered, and I feel free, and I feel more just
and I think
more connected to source. I feel.
I think in any given day, you can actually go from all the way to the top, all the way to the bottom, and back up again. And they actually teach us in law of attraction is that you can go from the bottom to the top, but you can't just do it immediately. You have to slowly climb the ladder. It just takes, it's kind of like this process that you go through, right? So even for me, to answer your question, Shante, yes, I've been in the depression and the fear, and I've been insecure. I've felt guilt, all of that, unworthiness, definitely jealousy, definitely, hate and anger and all of that. And equally so, I've felt empowered and love and appreciation. And that's why, doing what we're doing and learning the things we're learning is so key, because it's helped us go from constantly in these low vibe emotions to just maybe sporadically throughout the week, maybe once in a while. And then because we have the tools now, we catch ourselves. So instead of sitting in that low vibe for like weeks on end or a whole day or whatever it is, it's literally a few minutes. It's like, oh fuck, I'm feeling shitty right now. Why am I feeling shitty? Checking in with ourselves, and then realizing, okay, I gotta climb the ladder.
Well, that's why it's important. Like that's really the first step or first tip that we would give you to start raising vibration, is to always be checking where you stand. Always recognize the level that you're at on the ladder. At any given time, the more you become aware of it, then the more you can start to raise it and change it. Because we have like the gazillion thoughts per second, and everything that we're processing around us. If you think about what like all the things that are happening around you in a given second, your brain only really is processing 10%, but it's always going, right? So
don't feel like you're interrupting, Shante. It's totally valid. And if you guys have any questions, for sure, put them in the chat. We love to answer them and help you guys. So Shante asked, do you guys feel like the people you spend your time with will impact where you are in the scale at any So
Absolutely.
yes.
I do. Because we're both empaths
Mhm.
in that we feel other people's energy. It has an impact on us.
Mhm. However, when we're going to talk about this in a minute, but when it comes to your creation and all of that, deliberately creating, um, who you spend your time with, for sure, it makes a huge difference who you spend your time with, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if people can see the question.
That's why it's important to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't surround yourself with those people.
Right.
If you can remove them.
Because they do suck your energy. We call them energy vampires. But ultimately, like I said, we're going to talk about this in a second, but you are deliberate creators, right? So you create your own reality. And this emotional guidance scale right here is what's going to help you create your reality, right? So if you want something, an experience, or you want a new car, it doesn't even matter if it's a material thing or an experience or a relationship that's amazing or whatever. The first step is really to ask for that. And we'll get into that in a second, right? But what I wanted to say to Shantae's point is that, yes, these people can impact your energy, especially when you're a child, right? And that's why we sort of lose our connection with our source. If you ever notice, children have a very, very strong connection to sort of that spiritual realm, that source energy. And their environment impacts them, right? Especially their parents. It's kind of like we as parents end up sucking the energy. However, the one point I want to make is that these people do not create your reality. So even though they might be in fear and they might be saying, oh, cancer, 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 they can actually create cancer within you. They can help you create cancer within yourself if you listen to them and you actually start to believe it and you think about it all the time because they're constantly bringing it to your attention. But the trick is to just stop engaging with that person in that conversation. Tell them you don't want to talk about it, right? Because especially if it's like a disease type of thing like cancer or whatever, right? Because you don't want to attract that type of stuff to you, right? So yeah.
But you can get to a place where
would kill us.
Yeah, would kill us.
Yeah.
You can get to a place where it won't impact you as much if you protect your own energy. Like you actually like pray and protect yourself, putting the intention out there that you only control your consciousness. Nobody else from the external can impact your insides. You work on yourself from the inside. So I feel like there is a way to, even if they are still in your life, you have no choice but to be around them to protect yourself from that energy impacting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like we said, okay, so you are the creator of your own reality. And why is this emotional guidance scale or whatever important? Well, because the higher up on the scale you continue to be or you maintain yourself at, the more you're going to be able to attract those things you want in your life, right? So really, this is a 3-step process. And again, this is all based on law of attraction principles and all of that, right? So the first step is to actually ask and get deliberate on what you want, right? So how do you figure out what you want? Well, a big way to do that is to just look around the world and realize that we're in such a varied world, right? There's so much experiences. There's so much just variety around us, right? And so when you look around, you start to notice, I like that. I don't like this. I like that, whatever, right? So that's just one way, is looking around the world and just noticing things that you like and you don't like, okay? The other thing to do or to pay attention to is that the answers sometimes are in the contrast, okay? And what I mean by that is, so contrast is kind of like light and dark, right? And so if you look at it, when darkness happens to you, as in negative experiences, sometimes that's a good thing. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's a good thing because it actually forces you to think about what you actually want. Because sometimes people are just sort of stuck in this stagnant energy where they're not actually giving shit what they want. They kind of know what they don't want, but they're just not really like caring about what they want. And we like to, even not to get political on this slide, but we like to say like that's kind of what's happening right now, is that, you know, there's such contrast. So it's actually it's actually getting people to wake up and actually start to demand more things, right? To not be complacent, to not to be too comfortable in their lives, to actually start to realize that, hey, I have power over this. I can control how I feel. I can control the things that happen to me. It's not just about one man or one political party. They can't control my destiny, right? So the contrast is a good thing, because what happens is when something really bad happens to you, it usually will, they call it a rock. Yeah, it will redirect you. They call it like a rocket of desire. Okay. And it sort of blasts off in the other direction, and it sends this sort of request out into the universe, right? To say, okay, I really don't want this. So now that I know I really don't want this, this is what I do want instead. Okay.
So it's like, yeah, sometimes that happens to you in life when the universe just like forces you. It's like you've been wanting to do something, like let's say you wanted to quit your job.
Yeah.
But then the universe is like, oh, you're not gonna do it? Okay, you know what? We're gonna have like cut downs. And you're gonna lose your job because you need to go in another direction. And you're so upset because you lost your job and you're crying over it. But at the same time, like with time, if that hadn't happened, then you wouldn't have started your own business. You wouldn't have started your own endeavors.
And you're
not
even
put you on a better path to greater success.
Yeah.
So sometimes the universe does that when you don't make that decision to make the change. I mean, it's happened to me. So.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so that's the first step, is really getting clear on what you desire, right? And I think that so many people don't actually take the time to think about that. So, this is why journaling and meditating is so key, right? Meditating on, just experiences and things that you want to have in your life, right? So for example, with me, I see myself speaking on world stages. Okay, this is just one random example, but I see myself on speaking on stages with thousands of people. So every now and then, I know this sounds a little crazy, but I will literally pace back and forth in my living room and close my eyes and visualize myself talking to thousands of people and feel how that feels, right? Get into that moment and just have the whole speech, like pretty much say the whole speech out loud, like just let it flow through me, right? Because I'm connected to my source. So I kind of almost like channel it. But that's kind of one of the things that's one of the tools. And we'll talk about that.
It's like visualization. You're visualizing where you are, but you're actually even acting it out. And that's how you're training your own vibration. Basically, you're training it to be at where you want to be versus where you are at now. So it's so important to be clear, very clear on what your desires are and where you want to be. Yeah.
You can't be vague with the universe. Can't be vague with the universe, otherwise you'll get maybe what you didn't expect.
I mean, like for me, like a small example, about 2 years ago, I was weighing. You guys don't want to know what I weighed. I weighed 180 pounds, 5'6". But I used to get on the scale, like it was just one point where it was just too much out of hand kind of thing for me. And I would step on the scale, and every time I would step on, I just changed my way of thinking, and I was looking at the number. I would envision the needle of the scale being on the number that I want, which was 140. And I mean, within 18 months now, I'm at 145. So, and I didn't really change my eating habits or exercise. I didn't do anything like in that way. I just used very much a visualization.
Yeah,
and it really worked. It's for me because I would see that scale go down, and I would see that needle get closer to where I was seeing it.
Yeah, and then so the second thing after you launch your desire, you let the universe know what you want. The second thing to do is you have to the second step is really out of your hands, right? It's about believing. So you have to trust and surrender and let go of the control. Like we always want to control everything and control how other people are and control our environments, but you have to let go and understand that everything's going to work out in your best interest, right? So yeah, that's basically the steps. The second step is to just let go and realize that you've put your desire out there, and it will come to you when it's good for you in your best interest, right? So
yeah, I love that. And it's like, because you're starting to believe. So you first set your intention of what you wanted, you asked, and you envision, but then you're believing it, and you're putting your trust that yes, I am this person, that I am this person that I'm seeing for myself, that I'm visualizing. Yes, I can do it. And I noticed that it's just like it's just gonna like change for you. It's gonna start bringing it because your intuition alone is gonna guide you once you're looking at that final destination of your desire and you trust that you're gonna go there. Then everything else kind of like like you were saying GPS. It's just like
It's your emotional GPS,
it
right?
just leads you to your destination.
Yeah, and then going back to just one more time to your emotional guidance scale, right? And we call this your emotional GPS. Okay, so what this is essentially like we talked about in the beginning. This is your connection to your higher self, right? And this is what you knew before you came into this physical body. You knew would be there to support you and guide you along the way, right? So essentially, what it does is it. Oh yeah. Hey again. Yeah, so essentially your emotional guidance is your connection to your higher source. So it tells you at any given moment, okay, if you're feeling bad, that's your higher self saying what you're thinking about or what you're doing right now is not good, is not in alignment with your true self, right? So for example, if you're feeling jealous, that's not a good emotion, right? That's a bad feeling emotion. It's like ooh, angry, right? Well, that's showing you that you are so far removed from your higher self, right? And that you should probably change your thoughts or change how you're feeling, right? So just to go back to that, that's how you basically will start to manifest is just keep following your emotional GPS, okay? And recognize that everything that you want can be yours, but you have to use your emotional GPS, kind of like that. Do you remember that game in school used to play like hot cold, like you're getting warmer, you're getting warmer. Oh, you're really hot. Ooh, you're getting colder, right? When you hide and seek, that's kind of your emotions, right? And your higher self is like, no, you're not thinking about the right things right now. This doesn't feel good for you. You're angry. This is not what you should be thinking about. This is not how your true self, your source, feels about you. So, because it's not in alignment with you, it's giving you a negative emotion.
Yeah.
Right?
So it really feels like just come down to the 3 steps, and what you're talking about, I think the third step. The first one is to ask, like we said, and then you believe and trust. And then this third step is all about receiving and being
not
open
blocking.
to receiving, not blocking your receiving. Yeah, like not resisting it.
And so many people block their receiving, right? Like, I remember there was an example that it was like we asked for somebody to come and like someone to help us, right? Or let's just say, I think there's a story actually. Let me give you the story. So there's somebody who's standing on top of like a house, and there's a flood all around, right? And they're like they need help, and what happens is somebody comes by with like a little canoe and is like, hey, I'm here to help you, and they're like, no, I'm waiting for like some magical big fancy boat or something to come by, and they refuse to take that little canoe. And I know this is a weird example, but it's kind of what we do in our lives, right? We expect these grand things to come and give us what we want, not realizing that sometimes it's baby steps to get you there. Sometimes it's just like a short conversation with somebody, sometimes that will lead to another opportunity, another thing, right? So you have to not block yourself.
That's the problem. A lot of us block that receiving. And so like if we're expecting to receive debt, like if we're thinking about debt, you're not going to receive abundance.
Yeah.
Like we were saying, like if you tune into one radio station, you're not going to hear the other 2 radio stations.
Yeah.
Right?
If you're tuned into
like this or that.
Yeah. So if your frequency is tuned into like 680 news, that's a Toronto
Canadian.
But if you're tuned into 680 news, you're not going to hear what's happening over here on 1010 Talk 40 or whatever, right? And it's the same thing with your emotions and all of that. Like if you're tuned into the frequency of debt and thinking about your debt and how much you hate your debt, or
how far back you are,
yeah.
and how far back you are in life,
yeah,
what you haven't accomplished.
Yeah, then you're tuned into that, what you don't want, right? And remember what we said in the beginning, there's no such thing in universal language as exclusion. So the universe doesn't hear you say, I don't want my debt. It hears you say debt, 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 debt. So instead, what you want to be doing is thinking about the abundance, thinking about money is coming easily to me, thinking about You know, every day I open myself up to new opportunities and experiences and things that will bring me more abundance, right? So it's about just shifting your frequency and starting to think about grabbing better feeling thoughts, and just following your GPS all the way up the ladder to basically love and joy and happiness, gratitude, all of that, right? So, anyways, so we wanted to know if you guys have any. I know. Let's see.
Oh, mine is different.
Okay. Just want to make sure if anybody has any questions, you can let us know. Or if you have any specific things that you're going through, you know, tell us about it. But first, before we get into that, while you guys are thinking about the questions you have, we just wanted to share something really exciting with you guys. We're so excited to share this. So essentially, let's just wait till Shima pulls it up. Yeah. So this is something we've been working on. Yes. This is something we've been working on. We're so excited to talk to you guys about it. And we're just going to go through this quickly. We'll give you guys the link in the chat box if you're interested in checking it out more. But based on what we talked about tonight and a million other things that we put into this, we have created a program. And essentially, this is all about giving society a big fuck you and start living as your true self. Okay. So at the end of the day, you know, we're all, sorry, Shima's going to navigate for us. So, you know, if you're feeling these feelings of like, you know, stress, overwhelm, why can't I be happy? You know, what the hell is going on? Oh my God. Is this really all there is in my life, right? Like, is this what life's about? Then this is why we created this program, right? So at the end of the day, a lot of people have this feeling, or they get this sort of feeling from their society or their culture is like, you know what, you need to check all these boxes and then that's when your happiness can come, right? So you start to adopt that mentality of like, okay, I'll be happy when, right? When I graduate, when I find the right job, the right partner, when I get engaged, you know, when. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you check all these boxes, or most of them, and you start to realize, okay, like happiness is still not here. Like, where, yeah, what else am I supposed to be doing? Where is this mysterious happiness, right? And, you know, on a daily basis, your life can be looking something like this, right? You're people pleasing. You're doing all these things for other people that you don't want to be doing. You're saying yes all the time when you don't want to be saying yes, right? You're stressing over everything, whether it's money or your business, your job, your relationships, all these things. You're just always in that stressful, low vibe emotions, right? And then, you know, the self-doubt, the perfectionism, comparisonitis. Again, we'll share this link with you guys if you want to read more about it. But essentially, it's just a whole bunch of shitty, low vibe feelings, right? And what we found is that so many people are going through this, and we went through this ourselves. So, you know, at the end of the day, we wanted to put this together because we want you to know that you're never going to find happiness if you keep looking on the outside for it, right? And you can find this happiness internally, right? So if you're feeling like you're lost, if you're feeling like you're in this fog, if you're feeling like, what the hell is the point of my life? What am I doing here? What's my purpose? Then say, what's up? Hello to Unleash Your Inner Boss Bitch. And essentially what this is a transformative 6-module digital course, and it's designed to help you stop people pleasing, self-doubting, all that fuck giving that you're doing, and truly discover the woman that you are meant to be, aka your inner boss bitch. So basically, yeah, just during this first live session, we are going to give you guys all the tools. So yes, we've talked about some tonight. We talked to you guys about, you know, focusing on your emotions, climbing that scale, and we can answer some more direct questions if you have some in a second. But you know, we will be giving you guys much more tools, meditations, journaling exercises, visualizations, and other activities and exercises that we have personally gone through ourselves. These are all things that, you know, when we started our personal development journey a couple of years ago, you know, we've read dozens of books. We've gone to seminars. We've taken
development
taken
program.
courses, we've had coaching, we've had therapy, all of this stuff we've sort of put together and picked the best of the best tools and exercises and put them into this course to share with you guys. So basically all of that hours and hours and hours of work and stuff that we've gone through, we put it into a 6-module course to basically save yourself some time, right? So yeah, at the end of the day, think of how awesome it would be to finally know who you are, right? Like who the fuck are you? I know that's a question so many people are like, but what's the point of my life? What am I doing here? What legacy am I even gonna leave when I die? Like, what's the point, right? And then you will also learn how to take back control of your mind. And this is where the inner boss bitch concept comes in, right? So if you guys have not heard our story before, the inner boss bitch came from us going through our own personal development and realizing that we had other voices in our head, right? And I know that sounds a little crazy, but let's be real here. You guys have them too. You have that negative self-talk. You have that person that's always telling you that you're not good enough, you're too fat, you're too ugly, you're too stupid. You shouldn't put yourself out there. They're gonna laugh at you. You shouldn't do this. Da, 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 da. You can't. You did. Ugh. And there's always that person in your head that's still mean to you. Okay. And so what we realize is that going through this personal development ourselves, we actually unleashed our own inner boss bitch. So now she's the one who's inside of us that's like, a badass. She's kind of like Beyonce / Fierce in a way, except she's our inner boss.
Our inner boss bitch is what we call it.
Yeah. And some of the other things that the course will help you do is to get authentic with yourself, stop giving a fuck, become more confident, and all of that, right? So yeah, at the very least, you'll walk away, ready to do something, right? Ready to go after your goals, ready to, go after that promotion or create that purpose-driven business. You'll be confident, you'll give way less fucks, and you'll also be supported by a sisterhood of badass women on the same journey as you, okay? So again, I'm not going to go through all of this because you guys can read it if you want to, but basically what you'll get is 6 modules, but you'll get lifetime access. So every time we update this course, you'll get the new version. And anytime we learn new tools, we do a new meditation, you will get that as well. You'll get the access to the membership, which is basically a sisterhood, a private community of women who all support you.
Oh, Tiffany, can you put your thing on me? Went off.
Sorry, guys. Hey, Tiffany.
Sorry, guys.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Tiffany. Well, if you guys have questions, you can unmute yourself in a second. But yeah, so at the end of the day, this course is going to be going for, right now it's early bird special. We're going to be selling this for $111, but right now it's just $77, okay? You might be thinking like, wow,
it's a steal.
It's a steal price. You see courses like this going for $500,
we're putting a lot into it.
Yeah. But we wanted to make this course accessible. We wanted to make it easy, a no-brainer, and especially because it's our first time launching it, we wanted to, show good faith in that, right? So there are 2 options actually. So there's just the course, which is $77, and then there's the other option, which is the VIP, and that will come with a 60-minute intensive. So at the end of the course, you will get an intensive with either myself or Shima, and we will be able to strategize on a plan on how you can now kind of launch into like everything you've learned in the course, how you can now launch that into the world, right? Like, and create a strategy for yourself. And the other thing is that we wanted to say that we have an extra bonus. It doesn't show up here, but by tomorrow night at midnight, we have another bonus for the VIP option, which is a 30-minute 3-card reading with us. So that in itself is $111 value. We normally sell that for. So you'll get that plus the 60-minute plus the course.
So if you're here, you'll get that as well with the VIP option, which will be with the actual VIP package. So you get the 1 hour, 60-minute intensive plus a 30-minute with the 3 cards and coaching.
Yeah. So again, this is just some of our story. You guys can read some of this, but let me just go into kind of what the course is about. We love all these pictures of us. And here's some of the stuff of what it's like to work with us. We've got Shante and Kiara talking about it, so you guys can read that if you're interested. So it's 6 modules, like we said. The first module is about discovering your inner boss bitch, figuring out who she is, and how she can help you, and also giving her a voice, right? So she can start to come out and finding basically that authentic self within you, right? The second module is basically all the blocks, all the things that are stopping you. What is stopping your inner boss bitch from actually being unleashed into the world, right? So we go into a lot more detail into this emotional guidance system. We give you a lot more exercises, practical exercises you can do. For example, let me just share one quickly with you. There's this really cool exercise where you can just get an old checkbook, right? And you write yourself a check for just different things you want in your life, like as if you were paying for it. And you start to feel into that emotion of you are buying that thing. So you can even start to write a check for a new laptop for $1,000 or whatever, right? But you're just writing these checks and you're feeling it, and you're sitting with that check for a moment and actually feeling what it feels like. So that's just kind of one cool exercise. But there's different things that help you get into that vibration of receiving exactly what you want, right? And then we also go into, we go into a lot more of the energetics and all of that, how you're holding on to shit from your past, that emotional pain body stuff, right? So the things that, maybe happened to you as a child or whatever, and how that energy is still sitting with you, right? And you might think that it's not impacting you, might think that you have it neatly tucked away and that, oh, that doesn't bother me anymore. However, you need to know that it still bothers you. It still seeps out of you, right? And it shows up in the form of gossip. It shows up in the form of criticism, self-criticism, or criticism of others. It shows up basically in those negative emotions, right? Because at the end of the day, if you were healed and you were completely living in joy and gratitude and all of that, you wouldn't have a reason to gossip. You wouldn't have a reason to criticize or to be angry or any of that, right? So we're going to be talking to you about that, and ways to forgive yourself, how to trust yourself, and all of that. And then module 3, we go into meeting the other bitches. So the first set is the Inner Good Girl Posse. This is the intuitive, the creative, the gratitude, and the spiritual bitches. I love how we call them bitches. We made it in the nicest way possible, but again, it's a bunch of exercises and meditations and stuff like that to help you, help those bitches come out more and be part of your inner boss bitch posse, right? To really support her. And then we get into the necessary but evil. So these 3 inner bitches, the fear, the anger, and the sad, they are required, okay? And we've talked about this in different challenges and stuff like that, but you need these ones, but you need to control them because they can take over your brain. And then the last one is just the bad girl posse, the ones that we just don't want, the ones that come, and they just come up in your brain and they put their dirty feet all over your furniture, and they don't, you didn't really want them there in the first place, okay? And this could be varied for different people, right? Some people don't have an inner OCD bitch. I know I did at one point. I know my mom does, but I know that not everybody shares that same thing. So the point is to just identify them, and then we talk about how you can get rid of them. So the last module is all about unleashing her. So this is where we get into the law of attraction stuff, manifesting your focus words, and really start to develop that strategy. What's your bigger mission? What's the legacy? All of that, your values and your story. So anyways, like I said, you guys can check this out. We'll send the link. But yeah, here is the page, and there's some questions and answers there.